Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back in with you guys for another show, for another episode of our tactical breakdown series. Now, before we kick this one off, I just want to caveat it with, you can probably tell from my face and my voice, I'm still not 100% well. In fact, I've been off work for the last 2 days. I feel like I'm on the road to recovery now. I feel like I'm determined to hit back with work tomorrow, but I can't really talk for long periods without coughing. So apologies if you see some little edits here and there, because I just can't keep up the talking right now. But some big news dropped today, and I was determined to get it to you guys. So here we go. We thought we'll probably be a muddling through of the best attempts I possibly can at a vid. Layvin Kurzawa, I mean, this is really an odd one. I didn't expect this one to happen at all. If you said that Arsenal were going to be in for sort of a right-sided fullback, I would have been like, oh, that makes more sense, because we've not really got an out-and-out one there with Ainsley Maitland-Niles. And in terms of centre-backs, that was the area I thought we would be really going in for. Not to mention centre midfield. So, I mean, those areas are definitely key for what I think Arsenal should have been targeting this window. But I've tweeted out, I said I think this is a little bit of a shrewd piece of business. And I'll go into more of my thoughts on that in a second. But what I like to do on the video is, of course, throw to an expert first. But before I do, please let me know that you should be clicking that subscribe button to get all of the latest in-depth, insightful content about Arsenal's transfer speculation, as well as joining us for our live shows after each and every Arsenal game. Please hit that subscribe button, like the video if you're enjoying it, and if you want to get more involved with the channel and help us and support us, then all you need to do is click the join button on your desktop or Android phone. It doesn't work on iOS, but it does on those platforms. So just hop on your laptop or computer if you want to, and you'll be able to access some exclusive content and become a member of the channel. This video has basically been put together with the help of Y-Scout, which costs a hell of a lot of money. And so a huge thank you to those members that have joined up already and helping support the channel, and I really appreciate every single one of you. But you're here to watch the video and get the insight, so let's throw straight to our good friend Jeremy Smith from French Football Weekly. You can find him on Twitter at JeremySmith98. He's been on the channel a few times, and you know he knows his Liga. So let's throw to him and get his thoughts on Layvin Kurzawa.
I've been heavily linked with the PSG and France left back Layvin Kurzawa. Whether it turns out to be a good move depends a lot, as in so many of these cases, on which Layvin Kurzawa you sign. Whether it's the one from the first half of his career who showed so much promise, or the one that's probably for the most part disappointed in the last 2 or 3 years. He started off at Monaco, did really well for them. He was actually one of their kind of longer serving players by the time he left, even though he was sort of still only kind of 22, 23 when he left. He'd gone down with them to Ligue 2, then sort of broke into the team in their promotion season, and then really came to the fore once they were back in Ligue 1, playing with the likes of Falcao and James Rodriguez, and in his first breakout season, ending up being voted as the best left back in Ligue 1. He started as a youth player, as a striker, and certainly his strength is going forward. Defensively, he always showed that he had potential. To be honest, probably he's never really fulfilled that potential. That's the issue, I think. He joined PSG, and like other left backs who've gone to PSG, Lucas Digne, for example, who's now doing well at Everton, he struggled to break into the team. He struggled to displace Maxwell to start with. Then Digne came in, and now Bernat's there, and there was Beshish in the past as well. And through a mixture of kind of lack of form, maybe lack of trust, also a little bit lack of fitness. He's had quite a few injury niggles the last few years, including a reasonably bad back injury. He's never made that left back position his own. Similarly, in the France team, he's kind of been in and out of the squad, and eventually displaced by Theo Hernandez, among others. So there is a good player there, but there are question marks, and I suppose, as with a lot of players at PSG, it's a question of whether it's the fault of the management and the way they manage their players, or the player himself.
Thank you, Jeremy, for your thoughts on that. As I said already, you can find him on Twitter at JeremySmith98. But that is not the content that you are solely here for, because I know that you love your stats and your statistics, Well, I mean, they're the same thing, so of course you like both of them. But I should not have laughed at her. But speaking of statistics, let's jump straight into them. And I mean, where better to start than our trendy, trusty old heat maps? Let's look at the heat map that you can see on your screen now. The left-sided fullback, an attacking one at that, playing in a team that is very dominant in Liga. And so that's why you can expect to see the heat map that you do, with much of the heat being in the opposition's half on the right-hand side of the screen there. But in fairness, he is dropping back. For a side like PSG, which dominate into the attacking third of most of their games in Liga, it is really, really good to see that he is in fact getting back a fair amount of the game. In fact, there is a slight bit of red there, which does show me that this guy likes to get back and defend too. Speaking of which, let's jump into those defensive stats and start with those, seeing as he is a defender. Defensive duels, 7.53 and winning over 50% of those per game, which is a decent turnaround. Aerial duels, also for someone who is a fullback, not known too much for their aerial ability, getting involved with over 3 of them each game and winning over 50% of them, which is really, really good. Sliding tackles, not a big slider of the ball, but if he does get in with them, there's a 72% chance that he wins them, so there's something to read into. The big one here that I like is the interceptions. Big thing for PSG is retaining possession for as long as possible, and 4.87, nearly 5 interceptions per match is a really impressive turnaround for the Frenchman. Losses in his own half, 8.22 throughout the game, but only 28% of them in his own half. For a fullback that likes attacking, that's really, really good for me. Yes, 8 you might say is a little bit high, but the fact only 28% of those shows that it's because he's trying to be adventurous. He's trying to be that guy to battle into the opposition half, which is good to see. Recoveries though, really, really nice to see that. 9 recoveries per game, more than the losses that he makes, with 33.6% of those in the opposition half. So you can hit the counter as much as feasibly possible. In yesterday's video on Bruno Guimaraes, he had over 50% of those opposition half recoveries, but he is a centre midfielder, so that gives you sort of a positional awareness of how these sort of players compare to each other. Doesn't block too many shots, does clear the ball more than once per game, and can put the odd foul in, it's fair to say, but relatively disciplined. I mean, yellow cards, you're going to expect him to get one, just over 1 every 3 games, but hasn't been sent off all season, which is positive. But again, has not got as many minutes because of Juan Banat's presence in the side, really. Let's move on to the passing statistics. So passing-wise, 87% pass accuracy, with 50 being made per game. That's fairly decent for a fullback that likes to be adventurous. Long passes, not really into those, but we would rely on David Luiz for much of that anyway. We need Kurzawa to be attacking into the final third. It's his crosses and through balls, which I'm interested in a lot. 27% accuracy is through passes, but he doesn't do too many of those. But crosses per game, 2.82 with a 32.4% crossing accuracy. So 1 in 3 of his crosses meet a fellow player on his team, and that's okay. That's not too bad in terms of crossing percentages. Yes, you might want it to be a little bit higher, but for a cross, which is usually something which is quite a risky pass in the game, the fact that 1 in 3 of those are meeting the target is a fairly decent return. Hasn't got too many assists so far this season, it's fair to say, and that's why his XA is quite low. Second assist as well, doesn't get involved too much with the build-up, but does like to attack, which is actually quite conflicting, which interests me. Passing into the final third, this is where he really thrives. 4 of those being made into final third, with 84% completion, and a 2.55 pass into the box, which is really good as well, with a 40% completion. So half that of passing into the final third, but these are more risky passes, so you would expect a drop. But that's fairly decent. Nearly 1 in 2 of those are reaching the target in the box, which is nice. Received passes are 39, so he gets involved with the game, and I assume definitely in terms of an Arsenal side of things, we'll use our left flank a lot. Kolasinac has dominated that side of the field since Arteta's taken over, so I can imagine that Kurzawa will be heavily involved in the attacks were he to sign. Forward passes compared to backward passes, I'm actually quite surprised for a PSG player to have so many backward passes compared to the forward passes. I thought it would be a lot more positive, but still it is positive, which is something that you're always going to look out for in these ratios, so that is good to see. Finally, moving on to his attacking as if I've said that. Attacking stats, shots on target, that's going to get stuck in the comments. Shots on target, 30% on target, with less than 1 being made per game. In fact, 1 every other game is being made. Shot assist, 0.6 in each game as well. it's not a big part of his game to be taking shots, and you can see there from the graphic that when he does, it's because he's got inside the box. He's not taking them from outside too often. When he does, they're not accurate. But the goal that he got was from inside. You can imagine those from set pieces when he likes to get in there. We know about his ability in aerial duels, that he does win those as well. So he is a threat in that area. So it's a nice little weapon to have. I don't remember Kolasinac being too big on the headers personally. Tell me if I'm wrong in the comment section below. But Kurzawa definitely adds that little bit extra in terms of aerial ability for shots and taking chances on set pieces. His crosses we've already talked about. Dribbles though, this one was slightly disappointing. Only less than 50% of his dribbles are successful, and he's only making 2.78. If you think back to last season where we were looking at Kieran Tierney, these are a lot higher. So you won't expect to see him going on mazy runs as much as you would likely see Kieran Tierney, but that isn't really the point because he's only meant to be coming in as backup, so that doesn't concern me too much. If we look at offensive duels, that he's won 5.29 offensive duels. That's really quite impressive. But 37% of those being won, which is nice. Touches in the box, 2.36. So he is getting in the box now and again in each game. But always I'm going to lay this with a caveat that he is playing for PSG, which is going to be a big thing for someone of his talent and calibre. Offsides, not really getting offside. Progressive runs, one every game. That's about right. Not so much maybe for what an Arsenal side might progress. And actually, now thinking about it, progressive runs being only one in each game, maybe I'm slightly disappointed by that. Maybe actually I think about it and realise that for a PSG side playing in Liga, maybe should be higher for an attacking minded fullback. But who knows? Foul suffered, doesn't get fouled too often because maybe he's not getting as far forward as maybe as I thought he was originally. But let me know in the comments what you think. So there you go. There's all your statistics. There is my throat completely destroyed and probably ruined for work tomorrow, and a little slip of the tongue in there if you caught that. So please let me know what you think of Layvin Kurzawa in the comments section below. I'm really intrigued to know what you do think of this player. And of course, if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and turn those notifications on so every time we upload a tactical breakdown video with some expert insight and key statistics and analysis, you can get that content first. You can join us as a member as well, as I've already mentioned. Please do help support the channel. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. I'll see you again very soon after I've recovered from this awful spate of man flu. And as always, up the Arsenal.